The secret to become a game dev studio is honestly really, really simple. You just need to release games. And that is contrary to what we got, for example, is this question, right? Solo Game Dev 33. Hey, how can I make a good studio name plus logo? And the honest truth is that neither of these things make you a studio. Spending money or spending time and effort on a logo and a name do not make you a game studio. You're still a game developer. A game dev studio, and this is my opinion, means that you're going at it with a financial kind of approach. You want to sell your games because you also understand that as a game dev studio, you have a commitment that you need to make to your future players that you're going to be making good games. Games that they want to actually pay money for. And, you know, good games cost money, whether you like it or not, whether that is in your time, whether that is in your focus, basically, if like you do not need to go and work another 40-hour shift or like 40 hours a week at McDonald's to make your games. You can make better games if you do not need to worry about the financial worries of, you know, the rest of your life. This is why I'm also like, hey, making money from your studio should be one of your main goals. Now, that doesn't mean that if you don't want to approach things as a game dev studio, if you want to do it as more like a hobbyist game developer, that is absolutely fine. This channel, for the most part, is aimed at people who want to make a game studio. But if you're a game developer, there's still some good things you can learn on here. But I think saying that you're a hobby game development studio is an oxymoron. I think everybody starts as a game developer. And if you want to, you can choose to evolve into a game dev studio. Some people, they don't want to turn their Eevee into a Vaporeon. Other people, they really love to see a Vaporeon. They want to be with them all the time. And it's the same thing of like, you can always start from the same baseline. You cannot start immediately, and this is once again, you cannot immediately go and be like, I'm going to be a game dev studio. And then not having gone through the motions of first being a game developer and, you know, more low stakes commitment and all of that, because then you're also going to crash and burn. You start as a game developer, and then at some point, you do the evolution stone that turns you into a game dev studio. The question then is, what is that? You release games. It's as simple as that. I think the big graduating effect is you release a game, and from then on, you can decide, am I going to turn my Eevee into a Flareon or whatever? Or I shouldn't just say Vaporeon. I know probably some guys here really like Vaporeon a little bit too much, but like, you can choose. It's your moonstone or whatever. It's like, okay, I've released this game. I'm charging money for it. Now I'm going to take this step and like, I'm going to treat myself as a studio. And it is not the fact that you have a name or a logo that matters. I kind of wanted to do like this little exercise. I'm going to tell you a game name and you have to like, in your mind, respond with the developer name, like the studio name, not the like person behind it, and try to visualize their logo or like try to think about what their logo is. Okay, Stardew Valley. Do you know the studio name behind Stardew Valley? And this is a big ass game. I forgot. It was Concerned Ape. And I had never seen this logo in my life. You know, they have the splash screen, but I just blank out. The logo doesn't matter. Second one, Deltarune. Okay, yeah. It's Toby Fox. Do you see this logo? This is not the logo that he spent $500 worth on commissioning. It's just his name in like lowercase all written. And these are successful studios. You do not need to have a good logo and a good name to run a successful studio. Even more so, I would say there's probably an inverse correlation between the amount of fucks you give about your studio logo and then the name and the kind of games you make. Because if you're going to spend 2 weeks, because I see this as well, of like 2 weeks planning your optimal logo and like making like all of these different versions and coming up with a name, that's 2 weeks you could have worked on your game. That's 2 weeks earlier you could have released that game and actually chosen to become an actual studio. So, okay, we have that out of the way. You want to become a game dev studio? Rest of it is for you. I'm going to try and give you some actionable steps in how you can do this sooner rather than later. Because there's a lot of people in our Discord server. We like changed like we've been doing a little game where people put like their revenue numbers. I can just show you. Like, okay, like Zef is minus 100. He's at like $0. You know, you can see like, oh, Gonzalo, shout out, made $2,457. You know, the minus 100 people are the ones who this video is aimed at the most. Shout out to you guys. They are the people who have spent the money on getting a Steam store page, where they are like at a certain point, they have a certain level of commitment or aspiration to go pro, but they're not there yet because their game isn't out yet. And as long as your game isn't out, you're not becoming a studio, in my opinion. So how do we get our game out there? I think the first thing is we need to plan what's the minimum viable like commercial product. Because I understand you want to make your dream game, but your dream game is going to take 7 years. And your dream game might get canceled 3 years into development. The shorter your development cycle is, the less risk there is that you're going to get hit by a bus and development is going to stop. The less risk there is that you're suddenly going to have a surprise baby and development is going to stop. Or, you know, not even like big surprise, but you know, these things matter. Smaller scoped games are good for a lot of reasons. And one of them is that you're just going to reduce the amount of time needed to go from game developer to game studio. And of course, this is something that it's easy for me to say. The one big thing that I always struggle with this statement is that I do also see you guys ship absolute garbage games to Steam as well. To get that idea of I want to release the first game as soon as possible. Try not to take this like maliciously or whatever. Like try not to take this video too literal of like, oh, I'm going to put my Steam page up now and then in 2 weeks I'm going to release the most slop game ever. No, still know of like, you need to have a certain level of commercial quality that's needed as well. But my question to you is, do you know what is the bare minimum that you need to be able to actually ship this game? We're actually doing this thought exercise right now with one of our games, Pripyat Zero, which we announced like last year, and then kind of studio financials came in the way, and that game wasn't profitable enough for us to warrant further development on it. And we shifted away to MO98 and then some other games now. But part of me also wanting to learn more and also learn more about what I can do for you guys is like, okay, we have this Steam page live. The game is at almost 1,000 wish lists. So clearly there is some interest. We had a very big scope for that game with like multiple endings and a whole story and like voice acting and all of those things. And now it's like, okay, what would be the maximum amount or like the minimum amount of work that I need to do to actually get this out there still? To still release this game, be able to charge $4 for it, because that's kind of the most you can charge for an anomaly game basically, but still have something that I'm proud of and have something that players can enjoy. Will it be a 10 out of 10 game? Maybe not. But it's better to have something than it is to have nothing. That is my belief. As long as that something isn't absolute garbage, you need to figure out what's the minimum amount of features. If we had to scope this down, maybe, like I said, like, you know, for that game, it was an anomaly game. We can be like, oh, we wanted to have 50 anomalies and 5 endings. Okay, what if we have 30 anomalies and 2 endings or 1 ending? Can we do 1 ending? Maybe we should do 2 endings. Stuff like that. And writing that all down into a giant checklist. We've done this for our previous games as well, where at the end of the day, fuck the project management, it all comes back down to one giant checklist, whether it's a Word document or literally just a notepad document. We write down everything that's needed and we just start chipping away at that. And then the second thing is that you don't scope to your game and like your features, but you scope to deadlines. And I think that's the second big thing I want to say. It's like, okay, if you are watching this video so far and you're resonating with this, so like, oh, Marnix, you know, I've been working on this game for so long and it seems like I'm not really getting much momentum. Like I keep pushing things back. It's like, I have some news for you. Steam Next Fest is in October 2026, October 19th to October 26th. From when this video comes out, it's basically 2.5 months from now. We look at the demo dates. You have 1 month left to register. Just register, just checking a single box. I intend to participate. You do not need to have a demo available yet. It doesn't need to be public yet. You just need to click that I want to participate in. Now, of course, if you have a demo available, that's better because it gives you more marketing time. What's stopping you to plan the minimum scope project for whatever you have right now and scope around these deadlines? If you know that you have to release a demo by September 15th for the game you have now, so you have 6 weeks left. What are you focusing on? What are you doing differently? Probably you would focus on, okay, actually, let's stop developing new features right now and start working on the actual demo flow, figuring out how do we split our like main game data from our demo data, making like separate skill trees or upgrades or whatever, writing a neat ending, working on those things. It's easier to do that if you have a deadline, if you have a concrete day. And then, okay, October 26th ends, okay. If I need to release this game by November 15th, what is going to have to go? What is going to stay? I think if you release a game by middle of November, you're still getting a Steam payout in 2026. Anything later than that, and it's moved on to next year, and I think it's kind of, you know, it's unfortunate. It's not like the end of the world, but I think, at least for me, I personally work way better scoping for deadlines and scoping for features. Instead of being like, oh, I think this feature will take X amount of time to implement. I'm okay, I have to finish all of these things by then. And if that doesn't seem feasible, we have to rework it. So that's my second thing that I suggest for you guys. And the third one kind of ties into it. I had a discussion with someone recently. I mean, it wasn't like a deep discussion, but like they were talking about like, oh, monetary value isn't really a good indicator of like how successful a studio is. Instead, they said like, oh, it's much more better to see like how often they open their engine and like how consistent they are in actually working. And I counter that with, I think opening your engine means nothing. The amount of hours spent in engine does not translate to having a good game. I think it kind of also ties into the scoping to deadlines, not features of like, sure, you can spend 8 hours a day in your engine. But if you are not checking off something from the giant checklist that we made earlier of like, this is everything we need to have our game, then it doesn't really matter. If you go into your engine and you just refactor and you fuck around a bit and you do like some random level design for maybe like a more late game, like kind of level when there's no first beginning game yet, then you're kind of just wasting time. You should track your deliverables. You shouldn't track the activity in your engine. Figure out what brings your game closer to release. What's the actual things that move the needle? And work on those. You don't need to track the amount of time you spend on those. You just need to figure out, am I reaching these things at a steady enough pace? And it's not even purely development. It's also things like, am I building up my list of content creators to reach out to? Am I making my press kit? That's a very easy, if you want to have a quick win and you don't have a press kit for your game yet, and you're planning to join the like plan of Next Fest and then releasing afterwards, making a press kit, getting your Steam page live, those things are pretty easy to do. You can knock them out in like 2 hours, but they will give you actual tangible concrete steps forwards towards releasing your game, which once again is the end goal that we want to do here. So that's kind of it. Just want you guys to know this. I want you to release your games. That is my core divine purpose, is to get you guys to release games on Steam that aren't slop, that aren't bad. That is everything I want to do here. That's what this entire channel revolves around. And I am trying to do those same things as well. And I'm trying to explain to you how I'm learning things along the way. There's this quote from Miyamoto. I think this is a guy who made Mario. A delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad. And I honestly disagree with that. Because sure, we're talking here about the concept of good, not sustainable, not profitable. A delayed game may eventually be good, but you may never be able to survive long enough to get the game to a good state. At some point, you're going to have to release the game. And I do get, you know, a rushed game is forever bad. I think it's a little bit dramatic. I think there's a difference. What's in like, what do you quantify good? How do you quantify bad? If it's a bad game, you know, people call MO98 a bad game, but the game has grossed $100,000. Does that mean it's a bad game? I don't think so. Maybe I'm just an evil capitalist pig. You know, that's also stuff some of you guys say. But if you are someone who does vibe with me, I would say head down below and subscribe, because we upload videos 2 times a week where we talk more about, basically, like I said, our journey to building $1 million studio. And I want to take you guys along with that. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.